Hello and welcome everybody to another modern stream. Today we're going to be trying out some Naya lands, but now with more colors and more beefy dudes. So we're going to be trying out Omnath in 4-color lands. I already recorded a league with just splashing for Teferi, and it was pretty decent. I was actually pretty impressed by how impactful Teferi was in a variety of matchups. So today we're doubling down and we're actually adding some Omnaths as well. Like we're already playing Teferi, right? We're already playing 4 colors right now. So we're going to be throwing the Locus of Creation into the mix. We're going to see how this works out. Of note, we're not playing Explore anymore. Explore, because our curve is pretty high compared to most other modern decks, Explore kind of did some work in terms of smoothing out your draws. Now we're going to be relying on Prismatic Ending and Chalice of the Void in order to have plays in the earlier turns, but I imagine that cards like Omnath and Teferi precisely are good at helping us catch back up when we fall behind. So I also made some changes to the mana base. I added another fetch land, so now we're playing 11 fetch lands. And I added, K-Trade Triumph, Rogin Triumph, and Breeding Pool in order to help us cast our blue cards. So that gives us, I think, 14 blue sources, which should be enough, adding Dread of the Elysian Grove and Ren and 6. So I'm assuming that that's going to be enough, but, we're going to be trying it out over here. I did cut the 3rd Valakut in order to make room for the 11th Fetchland, so that's another thing that I'm going to be watching out for. We don't have Reclaimer anymore, so having access to our Valakuts is not going to be as reliable as it used to be. But if we're going to be, stretching our mana up all the way up to 4 colors, I think that, something needs to give. It is possible that it's not worth it. It is possible that I should be cutting something like the Ghost Quarter from the main deck and just putting a couple of Ghost Quarters in the sideboard for games 2 and 3. I do think that the synergies between Ghost Quarter and Titania are actually pretty impactful. So I'm not very excited about the prospect of cutting Ghost Quarter, but if Omnath seems to be worth it, then I'm just going to go ahead and do that. As far as the Saber goes, it is the cards that we expect to see from this deck. So we have Ghost Quarter, Python Needle, which we can fetch with Ursa Saga, of course. Celestia Charm as a removal spell of choice in order to deal with Murktide Regions and the like. Couple of Mystical Disputes, which should be pretty sweet. Having access to blue mana gives us access to counterspell. We can be playing either Negates or Fluster Storms or something like that. Those are the ones that play nicely with Chalice of the Void. I think that Dispute may be the best option. I could see, depending on what we're trying to fight, I could see Flusterstorm being the better option, but Dispute being able to counter Murktide Regent is what kind of turned the ties for me. Plus, Murasa is a good card against Burn and stuff like that, and it's also cold against Command against other grindy decks, so bringing back or Omnath or Dryad or Titania can be very impactful against Lurrus matchups. Courser Crufix as a source of card advantage that can also gain us life, so it's a nice addition to against Burn, which has seen a very significant uptick. Endurance and Force of Vigors are 2 cards that have been a mainstay in all of my sideboards lately. I think that both of these cards are just super well positioned right now. I never leave home without a couple of copies of either. And in this case, we're playing 3 and 3 and 2 Engineered Explosives in order to deal with stuff like, monkeys, alpine moons, whatever, you name it. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and I will see you for round number 1. We are on the draw. This game 1 seems like a fine curve of turn 1 Shadow Spear, turn 2 Chalice, turn 3 Teferi. Opponent does not reveal Companion. They go turn 1 Polluted Delta. Maybe a control deck. It could be a Cascade deck. We're probably going to learn that soon enough. No Cascade deck. They're playing Murktide Region. They're playing Ren and 6. So I'm going to Chalice for 1. Yeah, after, obviously, like, whenever they went for Breeding Pool, that's when I was confused, right? But obviously, after they did this thing, I'm gonna go for the Chalice first because I don't really care if it gets countered. So gonna go Sacred Foundry here. Play Chalice for 1, see what my opponent does. What's up, Lex? How's it going? Bold Face? Sure, you got it. Well, hopefully they play a Murktide here and I just get to play Teferi and bounce it. That would be the ideal scenario. I've been thinking about the Further Retreat again. Yeah, that deck was fun. It was not good. Omnath would be an awesome draw here. So now we're gonna get Breeding Pool. Yeah, that's a pretty good draw as well. We only have one untapped blue source, so we have to watch out for that. That's the Breeding Pool. Saga is a nice draw there. Saga is a nice draw. So next turn I'm just gonna play Saga, play Ren. Sure. Feeling pretty confident about my spot here. My opponent can blow up the Chalice and then interesting. So that opens things up for I guess I could just do both. Yeah, that's just I can just do both. Let's just do both. Let's just do both. So they're probably gonna blow up Chalice on end step, but then that gives me another turn. If they probably don't have Lightning Bolt or something like that, because then it would have been a lot better for them to, you know, kill the Fairy main phase. I'm not feeling my opponent's deck, honestly. It seems very weird. Yeah, they totally forgot that Teferi was in play. Heat is unholy. They could play Murktide here, but it's not very good. I just slam second to Fairy. 3 mana, 4 mana. If they're trying to play Murktide, they're gonna need another blue mana, I think. I don't know how I feel about the Cater Triumph in my opponent's deck. Seems a little bit on the greedy side of things, if you ask me. So let's get back to Strand. I think I'm just gonna play the Fairy. It's probably gonna get countered, but then I can just make a token. Like my opponent keeps falling further and further behind. Just got nothing. Well, at this point, I think this is locked up, right? Just can't lose anymore. I'm very confused about the no plays from last turn from my opponent. Very confused about that. Holy Heat, that's fine. Just not gonna bolt. Now, Holy Heat not looking very good right now. So I guess I don't really have to show my opponent the Titania. So I guess I'm not gonna. Just gonna fetch a Triumph here. Make a token. This is just garbage time, by the way, right? We have successfully reached garbage time. Just gonna get Soul Guide Lantern. Again, I'm just doing this because I don't need to show my opponent anything. I just don't need to show them anything, so I'm just not going to. Play a Chalice. Equip. Construct. Swing for a bunch. Gain a bunch of life. We've been in garbage time for a while now. And it's nice that I don't need to play around Blood Moon, right? Because there's no way that my opponent's deck can support Blood Moon. Yeah, sure, they're going to have Alpine Moon. But Alpine Moon is so much more manageable for me. So let's bring in the Dispute. They have not shown me... They haven't really shown me any, like, Channeler style cards. So I'm just not going to play around that. Dan Francisco with the tier 1 sub, coming back for 31 months. Thank you so much, Dan. Really appreciate it. Welcome back to the Primetime Stronghold. I got 4 cards. I like all the artifacts. Maybe the chalices can go. Prismatic Endings are answers to Alpine Moon. Maybe that's just too many. Maybe I can cut 2 endings, 2 chalices. I think all these cards are good. Maybe should have explosives. Nah, I think Ending is gonna do a better job than explosives. Endurance is the only card that I could see being relevant. I guess gonna keep this hand. Turn 1 Soul Guide is gonna keep TeMurktide away for a minute. Goes up to Fairy. The only problem is I would really like to go fetch a Jeskai Triumph, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. It's the only annoying part. If I get Jeskai Triumph, I can Chalice on turn 2. Yeah, I guess we're doing that. This means that I'm not going to be able to Soul Guide, but I think that my opponent's going to have the answer to the Chalice anyway. So I'd rather make sure that my mana is functional. Particularly now that I'm playing Omnath. Cleansing Wildfire. Wow, that card's bad. Iteration. This is barely elementals in it. Terrible. How you doing, Stabs? We're playing more elementals than in the average Naya Lands deck list, so there's that. Triumph. Interesting. So what we can do now is we can go Soul Guide. But I actively want my opponent to play their dude. Yeah, I think we're just gonna play Chalice here. Because I actively want my opponent to play their Murktide so that I can bounce it. And we found the plane, so I think this is fine. Strand. So I think we go Valakut, pass the turn. We'll wait for my opponent to answer the Chalice. I'm gonna draw 2. So they're gonna be able to Murktide with counter backup. So our best draw, and I guess that we don't have a best draw, never mind. Well, that's devastating, actually. I got punished for playing the Valakut instead of the Flooded Strand last turn. Yikes. Can we find a Dryad? Let all my troubles go away. Sudan Orb. Well, I've been punished. So get Ketria Triumph. Very unfortunate that we drew our basic planes. I'm gonna try to bait counterspell here. If they have counter, they're gonna counter this. There's no way they don't. They have Cryptic Command? My opponent's playing Cryptic Command? Insane. Surgical Extraction, Mighty Fairies, you got it. Cryptic Command, dude, in a Murktide deck? Yikes. So we get Suran Orb to survive. Because we can next turn play Titania and get some lands. And I think I'm gonna play the Suran Orb now. Play around my opponent having some counter spell. If they have another counter spell for the Titania, we're gonna die, but it is what it is. If Titania resolves, we win though. This is what we got. Is that good enough? It's not. All right, game 3. I think I like Chalices a lot more, actually. There we go. This is fine. Hoping my opponent does not have Alpine Moon. Sure. Wow, man, that freaking the stupid it was all about me not playing around Wildfire. Otherwise I would have been able to just resolve the fairy. Pretty funny how that turned out. Gonna play Shadow Spear. Terrible draw, by the way. And I think I'm just gonna play the South Seiko. Edvis, buena Faran. Hope we're doing well. Do you think you could point me to Yogg list or rate you're ready to start on? Cuidado, hermano. Muchas gracias por el sub tier. For el sub Edvis, pardon. I honestly don't know. Like I think that Yawgmoth deck is very, very good, but I'm not familiar enough with it to, you know, be able to recommend you like a good list or whatever. Like I just don't know the deck well enough, really. So can't really help you there, unfortunately. But just go to Goldfish, and I assume that the majority of the deck lists that you'll see there are gonna be good enough for you to play. Why Amulet is there in the meta? Because it just doesn't line up well against any decks of the top decks in the format. If my opponent's got Alpine Moon, we're in trouble. If they don't, we're looking good because of how they fetched here. Iteration after playing their land, when they already have 7 cards in hand. Okay. Don't we normally see you earlier in the day? Yeah, but today I recorded Titan Talk. When I record Titan Talk, my starting time it's a little bit later. Play that tapped, plus this bad boy, pass the turn. Gonna make a token end step. We're gonna make another token after that. We can get back Saga with Pulse of Murasa. Thank you, Pamela. Amulet is dead in the meta because if I stop believing, he put all of his Amulet powers into considering his child, but she will come with Amulet more powerful than anyone. I don't discard that. But that's dead. They have to plus. They can't brainstorm. Alright. I guess that they're gonna brainstorm anyway. Sometimes onboard tricks are the most powerful, you know? They did show me engineered explosives, so have to be kind of wary of that. More blank draws. So I could get Expedition Map. I just don't really see the point of doing that. So let's get Soul Guide Lantern. Because I already have Pulse of Murasa and I already have... Equip there. I already have Pulse and I already have... another Ursa Saga is what I meant to say. So now this doesn't die to heat, which is nice. I guess even it wouldn't die to heat anyway, because I have a Soul Guide active. Yeah, E for 0 is very good for them. So they're gonna be able to ultimate Ren, but I don't know how much that does with the Soul Guide in play. Or the submarine sounds, they are called air conditioning. Cleansing Wildfire. What if he's on the fritz? Am I gonna get Surgical now? My opponent showed me that they had Surgical, which is a really funny card to have in this matchup, but come on, man. I mean, we have to start drawing good cards eventually. So now they're gonna crack that. I think I'm just gonna bounce Soul Guide to draw a card and exile the Wildfire so my opponent can't get it back with Ren. It's a lot of bad cards, man. It's a lot of bad cards. Ah, yikes. That's a lot of really bad top decks. We drew both the Shadow Spear and the Suron Orb. It's quite rough. So we know they have Snapcaster Mage and stuff. If they ult Ren, I guess we don't really do anything for now. They do ultimate Ren. Stomping around here. So I'm gonna have to use this Soul Guide in order to get rid of the cryptic commands. Dryad. So 1, 2. Gonna make a token. Find expedition map. play my land. I think I want to do this here. Opponent does have the counter spell. I think I Soul Guide right now. So now I have lethal with the constructs. My opponent has no board state. And unless they find something very good, like as is, they are dead on board. And next turn I can just go Dryad plus Valakut plus Fetch, which is also lethal. So they have to answer my board, which is lethal. And then they also have to answer my hand, which is lethal. All the lethals. Return to nature and Holy Heat. Those don't do anything. Not with their current mana situation. They can't answer. If they steal a construct, still doesn't do anything. That's huge. That's big. That's very big game. One is looking for something. I think we got them. Feels good to be in a red, to be the Ren and 6 emblem. But this one is over. Maybe they can have force, I guess. Is good enough. Force of negation. Okay, so they take 4. Also, I forgot to gain 2 life with this Ruin Orb. I seem to always forget that. I usually remember when it matters, and I totally forget when it doesn't. Pew pew, and we're 1-0. See you next round. Alright. Omnath. Sure, let's keep this hand. And I think I'm gonna go, we're on the play, but I'm gonna go turn 1 Windsweep Heath. And I'm gonna fetch Rogin Triumph. Turn 2 we can go Prismatic Ending, their 1-drop plus Shadow Spear. Not even running Scape Shift. It's insane how often people suggest that I should run Scape Shift in a deck that where Scape Shift just doesn't do anything. It's pretty baffling. Pretty baffling. Definitely interesting. Like, people are just really what's the word I'm looking for here? Like, hopeful. They're like, yeah, but if you have a Dryad and you have Escape Shift, then like you just win. It's just like, yeah, but you need to, you know, have a Dryad and Escape Shift, and it's a lot of ifs. And then otherwise you have like a dead card in hand. I don't know. Seems sketch. I'm assuming that this is the Eldrazi deck. Yep, it is the Eldrazi deck. So if I Saga, I can't Omnath, but I think that if I Omnath, my opponent is gonna steal it with a Thought-Knot Seer next turn, so I'd rather just play the Saga game instead. And I think I am gonna play the Chalice on 1 because my opponent's playing Monkeys. Because they're playing both a Chalice and a Monkey deck at the same time. Because whoever built that deck thought that that would be a good idea. We have to be mindful of Obligator. Obligator is like probably the only way that I can lose this game, but like that's, you know, why the card is good in that shell, right? So actually solid in 4-color Ring to Light Armor. Yeah, of course. It's solid in decks that actually have mountains in them, right? But in a deck with like 2 mountains or like 3 mountains total, Scape Shift is not very good. Oddly enough, both cards are uncastable. How does Chalice interact with Dash? It counters it. I assume that you're asking because whether it just gets around it, but it just doesn't. Making another token is probably too important here, right? We just have to make sure that we can block in case of my opponent having the dude. So I'm just gonna get Suren Orb. And I can gain 2 life if I really have to. I'm not gonna attack. I'm just gonna chill here, hope that my Ren doesn't get Thought-Knotted. Dismember. So that means that I'm dead to what's his name? Oh wow. Okay. So I guess I am dead. So we take 7 here. Take 2 Raminap Ruins. I know that I can sack my land, but like I'm just out of gas at that point, right? Like I only have 2 lands in play. Take those out. That one's fine. Do I care about this one? Probably not. Do like poles. Do like endurances. So this only kills Smasher. It's also a bad combat trick. Is that better than Endurance? Just a random 3/4. This doesn't do anything. This can name Raminap Ruins at least. So I think I'd rather have the Piety Needle. Yikes. Yikes. There we go. I like this hand. Keep. Bottom that. And I think we're gonna bottom the Fairy. We have to watch out because somehow this deck actually plays Blood Moon. Believe it or not. Whoever built my opponent's deck thought that putting Blood Moon in it was a good idea. Even though it literally locks them out of casting their spells. Maybe we should have kept the Flooded Strand, actually. Yeah, this was a mistake. Should have kept the Flooded Strand. I wasn't thinking about Blood Moon when I was mulliganing. Just bad on my part. Is this Blood Moon? Just Bone Crusher. Okay. Next turn we get to play Titania. It's gonna do some stuff. Sure. Mother Reshaper resolves. I think I'm just taking this turn to play Titania. Fetch. I guess even if it dies, yeah, even if it dies, we can just get it back with pulse. You love this idea? What are you talking about? I don't want my opponent to draw a card, so sweet. What you got there? You talking about putting Omnath in here? It's being kind of awkward. Like, we do have a bunch of lands that don't cast it. I think that we may just have to cut the Ghost Quarter. I think the Ghost Quarter may be too much, which makes Tron, which is already a bad matchup, even worse. Saga is just too good not to play, so we're probably going to still be playing Saga, but I think that the Ghost Quarter may just have to be another colored source, maybe a basic island, maybe Steam Vents or Hallowed Fountain. Gonna ship this hand. Come on, man. I need you to be better. These hands are just heinous. Gonna keep this one, but I'm not loving it. So next turn at least we get to Ren minus, but Monke already getting one attack in is just so bad for us. So they do get to kill the Ren here. Dryad is probably my best top deck here. Play Saga. Thought Knot would be pretty devastating. Yep. Take my Titania. Yeah, I'm not loving the maybe we just cannot play as many basics when we're doing this thing. Running kind of late. What a format. I mean, we were on the draw, right? That's all it came down to. It was just play versus draw. All right. Please don't have another Thought Knot. Please don't have it. Come on, dude! Wow! We would have won otherwise. We would have been able to get Suranor. Santos, thank you so much for the Prime Sub, coming back for 10 months. Alright, that's game. If I get Shadow Spear, I can turn these into a 3/3. I don't think I have better options really, so. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Alright. See you in the next round. Alright, round number 3. This is fine. Harikoom Sansole seems really good. Yeah, probably wouldn't be very good in this deck, but it's funny because it's banned, right, Stabs? That's why it's funny. Monstrous Carabid. Hey, you got the joke. I did get the joke. I'm pretty smart like that, you know? One is playing Living End. They're playing the Living End version that... I could try them. They're playing the Living End version that does not have... what's his name? The Living End version that doesn't have 3 colors, so they're not playing Grief. So we're either talking about... Just gonna play Teferi here. Making sure that if they have Brazen Borrower, it's just not enough. Maybe they have Hardcast Force or something. I guess they could have Force into Borrower. That would be enough. Next turn we play Omnath, LFG. Oh, they are playing that. Why do they have Carabid then? When Hardcast Grief. Bye bye Omnath, I guess. Which makes their Living Ends a little bit worse, which is funny. I think I want to kill this Grief. I'm gonna keep this. Kill the Grief. Plus the Fairy once again. Say go. We need for color so slide Omnath and Ren. A musician, a magic player, and a friend work into a bar. That sounds like a terrible combination of things to happen. Wow, look at that synergy. That's just good deck building right there. Start there. I think I just want to play this, fetch for a basic forest. Play Titania. Get back Misty. Fetch. Yeah. That's enough, says the opponent. Or the terrible combination of things. Boom, got. Oh man. How did I not see that coming? How did I not see that one coming? Silly me. Okay, so maybe they're not playing Bloodwind then. I think I won the disputes. Pulse of Murasa is a hilarious way to answer one card from the living ends. Probably not good enough. You seem very insulated versus one. It's like, yeah, I've experienced. I played against Rhinos twice yesterday. Both matchups were like an absolute walk in the park. Like they were just, I was just there. I was just casting my spells. My opponent wasn't, because all of my opponent's locks, all of my spells lock my opponents out of the game. It was great. How you doing, JC? Needle to get him. Name Street Wraith. That's some next level shit, Andrea. I don't think I can handle that kind of sideboarding prowess. Keep this. There goes Zeteferi. So we can go get Kitria Triumph, I guess. Yeah. Kitria Triome. So if they have Living End, I'm actually in a little bit of a bad spot. So that sucks. I was silly enough to be on the draw, supposed to be on the play. What an idiot. How could I be on the draw instead of on the play? Huh. Well, let's do that then. Could have weighed your dice, rookie mistake, yeah. So they're just gonna let me counter this Living End? They just wanted to force me? Why though? Like, I don't get it. Why would they do that? Continue to be impressed by MH2 incarnations. Yeah, Grief is kind of the worst of the bunch, right? And it's still very, very good in that specific shell. I think I'm keeping this hand on the play. We have turn 3 Teferi. Never mind. We're on the draw. Grief better than Subtlety? Yeah, that's fair. Subtlety really is trash. So Subtlety is the worst. You're right. Not looking great here. Also pre-banned Grief, yeah. Too strong. Maybe I should have played Temple Garden there. That allows me to next turn play Ursa Saga. Yeah, that would have been better. Or like just fetch for Temple Garden or whatever. Should definitely done that. I mean, they can't really leave in end here because they just don't have enough. So here goes nothing, I guess. Force, dispute. If they live in response, I am very happy. That means that they're almost out of live-ins. It's just a dispute. Oh, they cycle. Okay, so they're looking. They're looking for either a force or a dispute. They did find a dispute. Okay. It's potentially a problem. So now next turn we can cycle for Chalice. I may lose the game because I can't get my Saga to crack quickly enough. Because I'm one turn behind on the Saga crack. Huh, never mind. Well, there goes that. Play it. Oh, I should have played my land first. What am I doing? Now I can get disputed. Okay, so it was force. Why didn't I put creatures to my graveyard? I know. I'm being silly. I mean, they don't seem to have the thingy, though. They drew it? Yeah, they drew it. It seems kind of manageable, though. Wait. Yo, what's going on here? Is this a bug? That's hilarious. Well, that's funny. I'm gonna post that one to Twitter later. That's funny. I mean, but I feel bad. So am I just supposed to stack these in the worst possible way for it to be fair, or should I just take advantage of this? This is really awkward. Like it's not my fault, right? But this is hella awkward. I guess I can ask them. I have a Misty, a Shadow Spear, and a Titania. How will you want me to order them? Yeah, that's probably the best. That's probably the best way to go about it. Like I just told him I have a Misty, a Shadow Spear, and a Titania. How would you want me to order them? And then they can just, you know, give me the answer and I just stack them that way. But they have no information on my hand. The bug is to blame, not you. I saw them. I just couldn't order them. Technically, you're not supposed to see them, but again, not your fault. From top to bottom. So my opponent says for top to bottom, so Misty top, Shadow, Titania. Which is how I would... Okay, so it would be like... On top of Hilarious, it would be Titania on top, then Shadow Spear, then Misty. There we go. That I think is how, you know, how I would be supposed to do it. How my opponent would be supposed to do it, but I don't want to tell them, right? Like, I don't want to tell them that... I just don't want to make the right play for them, you know? So we can play Misty, fetch for forest. Play Dryad plus play Misty. Pass the turn. There's a bug on MTGO. My opponent targeted me with Architects of Will, but for whatever reason, MTGO asked me to order the card as opposed to asking my opponent to order the cards. It's just a bug. It's just an MTGO bug. We're still not in the worst shape here, right? Like, my opponent's kind of in a lot of trouble. So they're going face with everything. We take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to block the Shardless Agent. We take 3, 6, 10. If they violate Outburst, I take 13. We're still fine. Have I heard about the Glimmer Post bug? Glimmer and Champion of Dusk are temporarily banned. That's hilarious. This is quite funny. So we can make another token. And now I think I'm going to go the Expedition Map route. So we're going to be able to swing for 3, 5 down to 8. And we have lethal. We force my opponent to... We force them to play another Outburst. So Expedition Map. Crack, get Valakut, Valakut you. Petty Theft. So now I'm gonna have to... Okay, so now I actually lose. Because they can just cast the Reason Borrower. Maybe I should have played the fetch land first. If I had played the fetch land first, I would be able to... No, it still doesn't work. Because they just cast the Petty Theft, right? So I guess making the second construct was the punt. Once I drew the second Dryad, I should have played the second Dryad. Because I can fetch and I kill this thing, but I go down to 6... Then they cast the dude. and I die to the dude, right? So now I can block the 3/4, but I'm gonna take 7 in the air. Yeah. Obviously, if I had taken advantage of the bug, I would have won, right? But because I would have put... Oh. Well, they fucked up. Unless they have an answer to this, they fucked up pretty badly. They had to redeploy the Brazen Borrower. What is the price of your medallion? Probably not one game or MTGO Modern League. Yep, because I had second Dryad, then wow, that was a pretty serious fuck up. All right, sweet. I feel good. I feel good about how things worked out. I feel like I did the ethical thing, and I feel like we won by outplaying our opponent as opposed to taking advantage of a bug. So that's nice. That's nice. All right, see you next round. All right, round number 4. Also, I just realized that the record thingy is not working. Sure, I'll keep this. We got interaction for a turn 1 Monke or something like that. They have a discard spell, sure. It's probably gonna take either the fairy or Dryad. Maybe they take the ending. Don't even know what MTG is anymore. You're a fab gamer now? Yeah. I've been hearing some very many good things about Flesh and Blood. That's cool. That's cool that there's another game that, you know, has kind of shown up and people are talking about it. So Magic doesn't rest on its laurels, you know. Ursa Saga. Shadow Spear. The hell is going on out there? Some of the Nate different to make him play Money Mentals. Wow, all the Thoughtseizes. They'd rather Thoughtseize me than make a token. Because they have Goifo. Okay. Oh, I drew the Triumph. Whoops. So I guess we don't need white, so it's a matter that we want second red or second blue. Let's do second red. I just want to make sure that I can cast Omnath if I draw it, right? So now the Goif is going to get suited up, I assume. They're making a token. Okay. So I think my opponent is just playing John Saga. Probably gonna need Surinor here. Dark Shrooms with the dono. Thank you so much for that, Dark Shrooms. Really appreciate it. If there's any deck that you would want me to play and whenever you would want me to play it, let me know. We can make it happen. So we can't activate Saga, which is pretty rough if you ask me. So I have Soul Guide Lantern that I can go get. I have Soul Guide, I have Soul Guide. Surinor is already in play. We have our own Shadow Spear, but we can't make tokens. So what I'm trying to see here is whether I would like to trade this Ren and 6 for a draw, and I think I do. I guess a draw on 4 life. We still have a bunch of top decks, right? Like if we find Titania, we just win on the spot. Now they can't activate their own Saga. That's hilarious. It was definitely correct of them to do this, though. Like, oh, our Saga is a lot better than their Saga. Just go face. So get Temple Garden here. Now pass the turn. Trigger on the stack. That's a good draw. I'm gonna float some mana. Sudan Orb. I'm gonna go with Soul Guide Lantern because it's gonna make the Goyf a little bit smaller, and because it's gonna mean that my opponent can't kill my Omnath unless they, you know, double spell, and they can't double spell because they only have one of these. Bounce Saga. Play this for 0. It targets Bubble, or I can wait and play it for 1. Just play it for 1, for 0. Prevent my opponent from doing bubble things. Oh, they have K command. So they're gonna blow up Suran Orb. Yep. So I'm gonna sack one of these lands, I guess. Then I go down with 7, opponent attacks for 6. I guess they're gonna suit up here and I have to trade. That sucks. I guess they can just suit up the Goyf, actually. Oh, because I have enchantment because of the Dryad. Yikes. Forgot about that. So I guess I should have, when the Soul Guide came into play, I should have exiled my own Dryad or my Teferi. That's rough. That's really rough. Die to Xaxis on the turn right before stabilizing. Feels bad, man. Feels bad, man. All right, so we do have a pretty good matchup in this kind of, against this kind of deck. So these Ghost Quarter out. I like Pulse. Not a huge fan of the Fairy. Medium fan of Chalice in this matchup because they have Colligan's Command. Oh, these are the deck list to Monophone Sliver combo. Wow. I feel like I played that deck on stream once. I feel like I played this deck on stream already. I'll look into it later for sure. Love this deck. Dark Shrooms will be a blast to play. I'll watch being played. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So I'm just cutting all the TEFs. Let's do this. Man, that made the Colligan's command got me good. I played it once, but flopping in morph into a bunch of slivers is pretty hot. Don't disagree. Keep this in. Valakut, go. This gets prepared to take the Dryad is pretty bad for us. I was really hoping that Dryad was going to do some work. So I think I'm just going to get Ketria Triumph here. No second green source is pretty rough. Now how drivers drift onto houses in the Grubhub delivery app. I have literally no idea what you're talking about. But I'm happy that you love it. Good for you. Always very happy when people find something they love. Monosliver Cube would be hilarious. It would certainly be something. So now my opponent can't really play their thing. They're Lurrus, so you have to try it now. There is a map that attempts to GPS locate the delivery driver for your order. It is very imprecise, leading to the driver drifting randomly on the map. Oh, that's what you mean. Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Still no Delirium. Cleansing Wildfire. Still no Delirium. So if we draw a fetch, we bring them down to 1, which is pretty neat. Also, Valakut is lethal. If they hadn't blown up the Saga, they would have just died. So I guess they can have second Wildfire into Goif. They can't shock. And now any land just wins me the game. Ren also wins. Endurance is cute. So if they bolt here, which is what I expect is going to happen, I'm just going to shock them down to 3. Down to 1, sorry. So they're trying to stabilize using Shadow Spear. If they 3 mana to Lurrus, I'm just gonna Endurance. If they have Unholy Heat, they get to kill the Endurance, which sucks, but if they don't, now they don't have any value to get off Lurrus. That's kind of annoying. Oddly enough, pretty solid drop. That forces the chump. It's not very often that you top deck Shadow Spear and you're like, oh, that's actually pretty good. Usually it's like, damn it, I drew Shadow Spear. But this time, Shadow Spear was actually fine. There's no way they stabilize here, right? There's no way they stabilize here. Am I gonna lose this game? There's no way I lose this game. I just can't lose this game. I'm gonna lose this game. God damn it. Give me a good card. We need Questing Beast. Yeah, Questing Beast would be hot. This protects it from Unholy Heat. Obviously going to play the second creature here. But my opponent is kind of getting away from this. I think that if I do crack this Saga, we're going to be fine, but... they're probably going to have to Piety Needle Expedition map. Unless they have an answer for the Dryad. If they do have an answer for the Dryad, they don't need to do that, but... where's my companion? I know, right? Silly of me to not be playing any companions. Plague Wraith, think of a follow. Who would have thought Shadow Spear would become a key card in Modern? I know, right? It's like 15 or 20 bucks. It's insane. Like, it's pretty ridiculous, actually, how expensive the card is in paper. They name Ursa Saga. So that makes me think that they have an answer to the Dryad. So... hehehehe. So we can't do anything there, so I'm just going to float 1 mana, get Expedition map, map for second Valakut, play second Valakut, face, oh yes. Most cards win the game for us there, right? Land just wins the game. Ren and 6 wins the game. There's actually very few cards that don't win the game. The cards that wouldn't have won the game would have been like double Endurance. And that's it. Like, these 3 cards were the only cards that wouldn't have won the game in that spot. Shadow Spear is like a Loxodon Warhammer with more utility, and I'm not entirely surprised. Yeah, and like the fact that you can fetch it with Saga, right? Like the fact that it's 1 CMC, it's the big deal. Sure. And looks solid. Let's see, my opponent again has to turn 1 discard spell. Looks like they do. So there goes my Renin 6. Going after the land because they could have their own Ren. They don't play that many fetch lands. I think that these decks play exactly 8 fetches, which is certainly not enough. They should play more for sure. Pyrite Spellbomb. 100% killing this thing. Have no interest in my opponent drawing out of this. I'm gonna go get Sacred Foundry here. Have no interest in my opponent drawing out of their Mana Screw. Okay. Okay. So play fetch, fetch for planes. Guess I can fetch for Temple Garden. So my goal here is to not get blown out by like an answer to my Saga in response to the trigger, right? This is fine. To the local FNM used to the Shadow Spear activation to kill my Toski. That's hilarious. Yeah, the secret mode on Shadow Spear does come up every now and then. It's not very common, but when it does, it actually matters. Making token. Making token. Gonna have a pair of 4/4s, which is no joke, but then I'm gonna start spitting out 5/3s, so that makes them a little bit less good. Yeah, Saga is a really mana hungry card, you know. Yeah, 1/5/3 is worth 2 damage, I think. 1/5/3 is definitely worth 2 damage. This is why you play 30 lands in your Saga deck as opposed to playing 23 or as many as this deck is playing. Although, to be fair... Oh, I fucked this up, actually. I had to fetch in response. Whoops. Yep, fuck that up. We can still tap it for mana, which is nice, but obviously fuck that up. Find that. So I trade. Let's draw a card. Misty. And I can go get Valakut here. Alternatively, I can go get Shadow Spears, what I was gonna say. Sweet, so I can do everything. So make a token. Expedition map. Crack expedition map. Get Valakut. Play Valakut. Kill that thing. Always yes. Play this. There. Shadow Spear. Equip Shadow Spear. Get out of bolt range. For being an indestructible creature, there's a lot of relevant ways to kill Tusken Mother, like Shadow Spear, Soulscar Mage. That's funny. What do you mean just fetch and don't attack? We're playing Titania, right? My opponent's gonna crack Spellbomb in response, I think. I did fuck this game up pretty bad, to be honest, when I didn't crack the Windsweep Heath in response to the Ursa Saga going off. That was definitely on me. Wow, really? They'd rather use Unholy Heat than crack this Pyrite Spellbomb. That's just wild to me. Wildfire my Valakut. Have you played with this Cyber the lot? Is Celestial Charm just a better option than Path? Yes. Path is just not a playable card, unfortunately. Monke. That's a big problem. That's a really big problem. So we are kind of desperate at this point. No! I wanted to draw that one. Oh man, I'm just dead to this Pirate Spellbomb plus Monke next turn, so I have to draw something right now. Alright, we play on, I guess. We play on, I guess, unless they have Lightning Bolt, they don't. We'll lose to Colligan's Command, but I can only do so much. They ping me for one, and I'm dead next turn unless I find... that doesn't do it. I would have won this game if I had fetched in response to the Saga going off. Oh, such an idiot. Such an idiot, and now it's too late. Because I die next turn. Another Premier 1 mana white removal is Prismatic Ending with on Thin Ice as a close second. Yeah, I agree with that. Well, we're dead on board, but I don't know, maybe my opponent doesn't see it. Who knows? They saw it. Alright, I should have won this game. If I had had that extra 5-3, I think that we win this game fairly easily. Just I don't have to take 4 damage from the attack with the constructs. Just straight with their tokens. Frustrating. But yeah, this is why this deck is hard to pilot. There's like very minor decisions that end up being, you know, in this case, game losing. Alright, see you in the next one. Alright, last round. Feels pretty bad to have lost the previous one. I hadn't lost against a Lurrus match with a Lurrus deck with this deck in a really long time. Opponent's playing Lurrus. I'm gonna keep this hand. Basically, we're playing Mono Green Tron, right? Nothing to see here. Just a classic Mono Green Tron opener. Monke. Really, dude? They just flipped a Ren. They just flipped a fucking Ren, man. Holy shit. Fuck you, Monkey. Like, for real, man. How is this card 1 mana? Whoever works at R&D, like... Dude! Oh, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Like, come on, opponent. Come on, opponent. You know better than this. Like, you're just handed the victory like this. Just handed it on a silver platter like this. And you choose to give me a chance instead. I mean, I'm still gonna lose to this Ren and the Monkey, right? Like, I need to... I guess I can use the fairy to bounce the Monkey if I find a blue source. And then I can use the ending to get rid of the Ren. So maybe there's a way here. But come on, man. Really, like, flipping Ren that they can cast into fucking... Alright, so I guess we're gonna do that. Gonna get a Sacred Foundry here. Sacred Foundry or Breeding Pool? Yeah, Sacred Foundry is better. White, blue. So this means that my opponent's just gonna minus and kill this Teferi that way. And I'm assuming my opponent doesn't have Call Against Command in their deck. I'm assuming no Call Against Command because I probably cannot beat a Call Against Command. Well, if they dash into Chalice, that's how we get a chance, right? They just go to discard. Should have probably laid on Sewer Orb, actually. Because now they're going to drown this. White, plains. And my opponent has a bazillion cards in hand because they haven't been using their cards. They just been using my cards. Because the Monkey is just stupid. But now I used my answer to the Lurrus. Like, I don't have an answer to Lurrus anymore. Opponent drew 1,000,000 cards. Maybe I can find a Titania, I guess. Alright. I'm going for Titania because my opponent did not have the drown last turn. They have it this turn, however. That's fine, though. Dress down doesn't do anything here. I still present lethal because I have Sewer Orb, so this just doesn't change anything at all. Alright. We somehow beat the nut draw from my opponent. That is so ridiculous, though, like what they did. That is so absurd. we should not have won, right? Like my opponent, if they hadn't thrown, like they drew the perfect cards that they needed, but they just made the mistake with the chalice, like they forgot about it. So like we shouldn't have won this game, but you know, we got a little bit lucky there. So this is good. This is good. This is good. Chalices. How do we feel about chalices? The fairies are kind of interesting. Are the fairies better than chalice? Probably not. We have to be prepared for alpine moons and stuff. Just go with this on the draw. Maybe we can switch things around on the play and add more chalices on the play. Was the recent Mishra's Bubble good? What do you mean? The podcast? I assume you're talking about the podcast? Like, is it a good episode? Yeah. I feel like all of our episodes so far have been pretty good. I haven't had like an episode that I'm just like, yeah, that one like didn't come together or something. We are, however, gonna be changing it to a bi-weekly thing as opposed to a weekly thing, because Evan has he has had some struggle just keeping up, which is fine. Like it's understandable. Can we find another Ren and 6, please? Can we find a Ren and 6, please? Looks like we can't. We're gonna have Dryad next turn. I think most people who make podcasts don't feel that way. Yeah, I mean, and that's what Evan started to feel, right? Like he was feeling that maybe we could not sometimes make sure that the podcast was at the quality that we wanted. So that's why he said, you know, maybe the answer for this would be to just make it a bi-weekly podcast, and that's what we're gonna start doing now. Do you think it's fine? I don't think that many people are gonna be upset that we're, you know, it's just bi-weekly instead of weekly now. Like it's kind of the same thing. Play that. Say go. Next turn we can Omnath plus thingy. Terminate. So if they have dress down, this is still fine, I guess. All right, this time around the Monke has not been delivering as much. Wait. Hashtag sequencing opponent. Blue, green, red. If their last card in hand is a terminate, we are in trouble. But if it isn't, this is just kind of the nuts. The only problem, like, I wish I could just... I wish I could decline to trigger the Omnath here. Because that grew the shadows, which is pretty funny. Should have done this on upkeep, by the way, so I can gain some more life. So my opponent has one card left in hand. If they have Dress Down, and they draw into exactly Lightning Bolt, I am willing to accept defeat. If I have Dryad plus Valakut in play and I play a fetch for turn, the fetch is already in play when the Valakut trigger goes on the stack, isn't it? So if opponent tries to answer Dryad, Valakut responds to the trigger, can use the specification response to still get. You are completely right, Fear the Venom. That is exactly correct, and that's a good play. That's a very good play. So yes, 100%. So the cool thing here is I can just kill my opponent. We don't even need to engage with combat. We don't even need to engage with combat. Sweet. All right, what have we learned? We learned that Ghost Quarter can't fit here. My mana was awkward, a little bit more that I am comfortable with, so we're going to cut that. Our options to add as our 30th land are either another Valakut, which is interesting. Another Valakut is interesting. A basic. It could either be a basic island, probably just a basic island, or either a Steam Vents or Hallowed Fountain. I don't think I want another breeding pool. So the Ghost Quarter is going to remain in the sideboard for now. We definitely want the first copy, but, you know, we can do that against Tron where, you know, maybe Omnath is not great. So if we want to play this version, I feel like we kind of just accept the fact that, you know, Tron is just, it just doesn't do the thing. Horizon lands don't work in this kind of deck. You really care about the amount of lands that you have in play, and you'd much rather, like, I'd much rather have access to Triumphs than Canopy lands. The main deck felt fine. I did feel a little bit awkward. I did feel like my deck was a little bit more clunky because I don't have the Explorers. The Explorers do a lot of work at kind of like smoothing out your draws. So the Explorers do a lot of work there. And I kind of miss them a little bit. So we can go for Steam Vents maybe? How many green sources do we have? All of these are green sources. We have 20 green sources. That seems more than plenty. So we probably don't need more green sources. So we can go with one Steam Vents. Okay, here we go. Omnath was fine. It was just okay. The combos with Dryad and Titania are real though, for sure. As far as the sideboard, I was trying these cards out, but maybe they're just not good enough. I am down to run like one more league like this though, and then kind of make changes afterwards. So let's do that. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next league where we're going to be running this back. See you there. Alright folks, so I wasn't able to finish the league on stream, but it's perfectly fine. This is the list that I ended up submitting for the second league. I did not like it that much. Like I played the league and it felt super awkward. I do just feel like this is just not worth it. I do feel like Explore does a lot to smooth out your draws, while Omnath actually didn't really help. Like it was just doing like more of what we already were doing. The Teferis have been interesting. Like I'm probably going to continue playing Teferis, but Omnath has felt like it's not better than Explore. Like I do want to have access to some number of Explorers. My draws were too awkward too consistently, and I definitely want to make sure that I have access to. I just want to make sure that the deck that I'm playing is not awkward, right? Like Modern is a very efficient base deck right now. It's very important to be hitting your land drops. So I am not, I'm not excited to have a super awkward mana base. If we look at this, like these are our 1-drops and these are our 2-drops. Like our mana base is super clunky, and if we don't find any of our early spells, then we are very often mulligan in hands that only play their first spells on turn number 3. So not too excited about that. I think like the fairy is relevant enough in enough matchups that maybe it's worth continuing to explore. But Omnath felt like it was just a little bit do nothing. So I'm gonna go back to the list that I was playing before and just at least playing a couple more copies of Explore, hoping to smooth out my draws a little bit better. And I cut the first Ghost Quarter from the main deck. Maybe we can bring that one back in place of the Steam Vents. Yeah, I'm going to continue playing this deck for sure. This is still a deck that I enjoy a lot. I think it's a lot of fun, and I think it's very powerful. There's a lot to work on this, and it's only me doing the work, so I have to work much more than if there's like a hive mind of people playing the deck. But I am going to share with you the first match of that league, which was against Amulet, which actually was kind of interesting, which is not oftentimes the case. So I'm going to leave that as a bonus match. But just know that I played some other matches that were very uneventful, and I was in all of those matches I was just losing because I was stuck on I was just stuck on mana, or like I was just too awkward to get going. So hopefully you enjoy the last match. But yeah, I'll see you there. Welcome to another Naya Lands in its 4-color version. We are going to be trying this again, and I made one little change. I cut the Ghost Quarter from the main deck in order to make room for Steam Vents. It was between Steam Vents and Valakut, but I did feel like it was sometimes awkward to cast my Teferi Time Raveler. So because of that, we're going to play with the Steam Vents instead. Let's see how it works out. This is like a fine opener, I guess. Opponent doesn't real companion, they are on the play. Cuddly Garden. I wonder if they're playing the Cascade deck. Yawgmoth. Arboreal Grazer. They're just playing Amulet with Cuddly Garden. That's one I hadn't seen in a while. Play Ren. Do that. Really want to dodge a Dryad here. Asusa. I could play the Fairy just to draw a card. I think I'd rather just play Dryad and set up Valakut for next turn. That's a go. I used to own that copy Valakut in paper. Yeah, this is like the, I think it's like an FNM one, I'm not sure. Promo Valakuts were pretty sweet. Yeah, promos were never my thing, but if promos are your thing, then for sure. So that's a Primeval Titan. We're at 16 and we can kill this Prime Time. So as long as my opponent cannot kill my Dryad, we're kind of fine. Oh, they're playing Battlements. Hey Scott, how's it going? Imagine if my opponent, instead of having this package, if they were able to 2% lethal here, right? We would be in such worse, significantly worse spot. Because they had the Asusa, and they had the enough line drops to swing for 16. It would have forced me to chump, but instead they're giving me a chance. And now next turn we can go play second Dryad, play Valakut, fetch, and that kills the prime time while allowing me to hold up enough to kill my opponent's Dryad as well. So unless they have a Dryad in hand, I think we got this. Because if they have to transmute for it, they're gonna exhaust their land drops. I guess that they can go face. Okay, yeah, maybe they still got me, but it was a much cleaner kill when they attacked. So they should just play Valakut here. Dome me for 9. Unless they have like an Explorer or something. Oh, they have another Dryad. Oh, Gracer. Okay, that's also lethal. All right. Oddly enough, we would have won that game if we had been on the play. So those are the cards that I care about. Don't care about Soul Guide. I think I care about any of these cards over here. Teferi is kind of medium. I guess I want to see one Chalice, but one Chalice only. I guess Omnath is better than Teferi. I should have kept the Omnath. Maybe Teferi is better on the play, worse on the draw. Definitely keep it this hand. Got some good interaction. Can go turn 1 Triumph. So I could bounce the Saga next turn. It's probably a good play. And get my own Saga going. White, blue, 1. Just playing 4-color tempo. The tempo. Tempo deck. Tempo deck. Foundation Breaker, break my Saga. Kind of annoying, but not the end of the world. Play another one, plus play Dryad. So now if we want, we can blow up their Saga. Please play Dryad. That's pretty good for us. All right. So that lethals them next turn. I guess not this coming turn, but the following one. We decline a token, but it's kind of whatever. Summoner's Pact. All right. Pact for Asusa. Expedition map. Alright, so they're gonna have to spend their turn paying for Pact. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I can float a mana here. Expedition map. Map for Valakut. Play Valakut. Dome. Yes. Play Dome. Fetch. Forest. Dome. Fetch. Plains. Dome. I guess it's more fun if I do this. Oh no, but if I do that, then my opponent could have their own 4, so I guess it's better for me to do this. This plays around their force. They're potentially having Force with Vigor plus green card. So now we're on the draw. We are on the draw now. I think I'd rather have Omnath just because they pitch to force, which may be a really shitty argument, but I think that this matchup is gonna be really fast. I think that this matchup is gonna be really fast, so like that is actually something that I really want. I really don't want to draw multiples of Chalice, but the fairy is just so awkward, right? If I draw multiple Chalice, I'm gonna be sad, but Hey, look at this, a card that pitches the force. Opponent keeps 7, luck suck. Alright, this hand's good though. We're gonna keep and we're gonna send the redundant rend. Oh, I should have sent the basic forest. That was bad. Because like the second rend pitches to force. Yeah, that was pretty bad. I don't think I just 2-for-1 myself to kill this amulet. I think I'm gonna need more than that. Crumbling Vestige. So my opponent's playing the list without Saga, or are they just playing like an older Saga list? I think that amulet is the less relevant out of those two. There's an argument for dealing with, for keeping the Dryad alive, that argument being that the Dryad is going to be easier to answer. Not sure that's where I want to be though. Yeah, definitely a solid first vigor for sure. So now they're gonna name Ren. Just a little bit annoying, but that's fine. Expedition map. No land. Yes, land. So they have one card left in hand. So I'm assuming this is gonna go find a bounce land. They can bounce Tolarian and transmute it. The issue with going with Saga here is that if I find Omnath, I'm not going to be able to cast it. Ugh. This is my favorite thing about playing against Amulet, is that we can do this thing where... Okay, so they have Titan next turn, unless I deal with this. Because they can just go find another bounce. I can also draw a Chalice. Pact of Negation is what they find. Wow, so I guess their last card in hand is a Prime Time. So we really have to find a Chalice. We really have to find a Chalice here. Dryad. Dryad doesn't cut it. So I'm going to play Dryad now, though. And the reason for that is if my opponent they want a pack, they can't really. And now, next turn, I can fetch map, crack map, get Valak, and kill their Titan. Unless they have an answer to the Dryad, we're looking pretty good here. So they will need to have either a Dryad already in hand, or like we know they only have one unknown because we know the other one is Pact of Negation. So they can set up the next Titan. This matchup is very interesting. Yeah, I mean, we're playing kind of like a mid-range version of what my opponent's doing, right? So different things go into effect, like different things matter for both of us. Like I'm just trying to slow my opponent down while my opponent's trying to, you know, kill me. They're playing like what I consider to be a worse version of Amulet. So that definitely helps me. Like if we were playing against the version of Amulet playing Boros Garrison and Slayer Stronghold, we would be in a lot worse shape. But now we can, you know, we can just freely take 6 and it just doesn't matter. Don't have the evoke, dude. Gracer. Okay. Why would they do that? Just so I can't attack them or something? So you do another Summoner's Pact. Oh, come on, dude. I guess I'm gonna make a token here. Oh, I think I just fucked up. Oh, I just fucked up royally, actually. Oh, I can't believe how much I just fucked up. Wow, that was so bad. Why did I do that? I mean, I guess there's no turning back now, but... that was a horrendous play. That was an extremely bad play on my part. Shouldn't have done that. So now they don't have a bounce land, so they have to pact for Titan here. And they have used already 2 Toleriwes, so if they're playing... oh, they already had the Dryad. Okay, so they already had the Dryad, so... wow, I fucked up so badly because of making this stupid construct. Because I could have paid from the... I could have paid the Saga and this, and then both of these fetch lands could be active. And I could just kill the Dryad here. I just threw this game away for no reason whatsoever. Only because of this stupid construct right here that is not doing anything. I just threw this game into the garbage. Like, this was just... I deserved to lose. I should have won this. I mean, we were drawing more trash, so maybe like at that point the Titan just stabilizes against me and then it just kills me. But like I was gonna be ahead at that point. I was actually gonna be ahead at that point. All right, threw it in the garbage for no reason. See you next round.